What's up, what's up? Been a bit longer than I would have liked. I've been redoing the boxing ring, room, and even my body. Not yet ready, but getting closer. In the nicest possible way, Eckhart here is almost as long-winded as I am. He certainly has a lower rate of speech than most I have ever heard. And the original video is very long. Because of these issues, I have changed my format a bit. Not permanently, but just for the Eckharts of the world. Hubris is defined as excessive pride or self-confidence. People who have a lot of confidence in their positions, without any reasons to support their positions, certainly fall into this category. I would point out that my position on these and a great many topics are simply, I do not know. Please show me the evidence. This is not hubris. This is caring that what we believe is in fact true. As for actual hubris in this video, well, I guess I'll let you be the judge. With that out of the way, thanks for popping in. I really appreciate the view. Let's get into yet another train smash.
I'm Dave Rubin, and joining me today is one of the most widely recognized spiritual teachers on the planet. His book, The Power of Now, sold 12 million, that's million copies, and the follow-up, A New Earth, sold over 15 million copies.
Spiritual teachers? So he teaches people about spirits. Oh, well, meet my friend John. He's the world's foremost unicorn teacher. Don't think they're similar? Well, show me any reasonable evidence for the spirit, whatever that means, and then you will be correct. As it stands, I have zero evidence for either. In this way, they are identical. To add this word to teacher is similar to me saying I'm a clairvoyance teacher.
I wanted to ask you just sort of what do you make of the spiritual health of the planet in this last year and a half, this sort of crazy year and a half that we've all had to deal with?
Ooh, let me get in here, Dave. The spiritual health of the planet. I think it is similar to the emotional health of a rock. You would have to first define spirit, then show it exists. Then we can talk about how healthy it is. By analogy, we understand what rocks are. We have some ideas about emotions. At least we know they exist. So, actually, only one of these questions is even answerable.
There's been many collective challenges. The main one is the virus and the lockdowns.
Spiritual health. How exactly have the virus and the lockdowns, which have had mental and physical health effects, affected spiritual health? And what the hell is spiritual health exactly?
Humanity is losing the ability to think rationally.
Yes, have to agree with you there, Eckhart. I think people like you are partially to blame. Hit like and subscribe, buddy. Let's fix this together.
There's a diminishment of rational faculty.
No, there has been no reduction in people's ability to rationalize. It is simply a lack of focus on rationality as being important that has caused the irrationality of those we see. We haven't lost the ability to barrel jump. As we don't focus on barrel jumping, we don't see examples of people that may be good barrel jumpers. If we started focusing on barrel jumping, say in the Olympics, I bet we would see some veritable kangaroos on ice in no time.
And another segment of humanity is actually becoming more aware, more conscious.
Aware? Aware of what? You have not defined what you're talking about, or not aware of something, but the general ability of awareness? Do you think that some people are born more aware than others? Certainly, people vary in their proclivity towards alertness, but are becoming? You mean in the present tense? More conscious? What does that even mean? As humans do not, at least yet, understand consciousness well, so you get to talk about it as if you know something? More conscious. Like as in we're more conscious than other animals? You're going to have to define these terms, Eckhart. You're playing very fast and loose with words here. Am I more conscious when I'm awake? When I'm educated? When I can perform complex tasks? What makes one more conscious than another?
phase that
You abuse words like my
humanity
grandfather did
going
Scotch.
through. It's not unusual for humanity to occasionally collectively regress to a lower state of consciousness.
What the sweet F? Sorry, what are you talking about? Humanity to regress to a lower state of consciousness? So, large groups of humans, at more than one time in history, just somehow had their consciousness lowered? Eckhart, have you been stealing my granddaddy's Scotch? Basically, your consciousness is your awareness of yourself and the world around you. We may be able to say that humans are more conscious than ants, for example, in that we have a greater awareness of the world around us. We may even have a greater awareness of ourselves than ants do of themselves. However, ants have a much greater awareness of the world around them, and it might be fair to say that ants' understandings of themselves may be quite different, meaning on a different scale. Not a greater consciousness, just a different one. At any rate, you're claiming that humanity has, at several points in history, lost an awareness of themselves or of the world around them. This is not evidenced by your examples, nor can I think of any examples in history where a large group of people has undergone a lessening in their ability to understand the world, nor themselves. In fact, I can think of many examples which go in the opposite direction. Say, all scientific discoveries?
And almost, one could say, toxic ideology that has completely taken possession of millions of people's minds.
I don't know how the hell you got here, Eckhart, but I welcome you to the conversation. Yes, ideology has taken over people's minds. Spot on. Let's take small steps. You have a choice. You can decide to do something, or you can do nothing. If you do something, you can try to convince them that their position is wrong, or you can try something different. I'm not sure how optimistic you are, but I would invite you to change the mind of any abortion hardliner, either side. So we're left with doing something different. Ask yourself, Eckhart, why do people hold beliefs? Now, I maintain that people hold beliefs due to them being convinced in some way of the truthfulness of that belief. Very simply, people believe the things they think are true. Now, how do we get people to believe things that are actually true? Epistemology, Eckhart. We show people that using some methods lead to good results, and other methods are more unreliable. Yes, ideologies do take over people's minds. They are a form of groupthink, which itself can be very dangerous.
Look at, of course, National Socialism in Germany. The Maoist Cultural Revolution was quite crazy. What happened in Cambodia under Pol Pot. Totally crazy ideas invaded millions of people's minds and reduced their ability to actually engage in rational thinking. And
some bad dudes, some bad times, and some good examples of ideologies hurting people, not of reducing consciousness, whatever that is.
But it has not affected everybody. Some people have managed to remain aware. They have not been, one could say, infected by what one could perhaps call a mental virus or mental viruses.
Wow. Word much, Eckhart? First day, new vocabulary? I'm sorry. Look, I understand that English is not your first language, but if you are teaching this stuff, spiritual teacher, you had better learn the vocab. People have not managed to remain aware, nor have others been infected by a mental virus. You're not going to teach people by using sloppy-ass metaphors. Well, maybe late-night TV show hosts. Anyway, people who learn about philosophy and epistemology, people who have learned about critical thinking and logic, those people, Eckhart, those people are made more immune, certainly not immune, to ideologies. There is another group of people who are generally made more immune to ideologies, Eckhart. Do you know the other group? Ideologues. Now, do you understand the problem here, Eckhart? You are an ideologue, or worse, a promoter of babble, just like the unsupported nonsense from the other ideologies you have pointed out. I'll try again, Eckhart. People are convinced into believing dumb stuff every day. They're convinced by lots of different methods. Some are superstitious. Some use faith as a method. Some are told what to think. There are lots of methods one might use to come to a belief. There is, however, only one method which is much more reliable, where all other methods only work at 50-50 or worse. Evidence, Eckhart. We don't just get to make woo claims and have people buy into our babble. That is exactly how those terrible men you've named have done the horrible things they've done. This is not a virus, Eckhart. This is called ignorance, a lack of being educated in the subject of philosophy.
Actually, you might, I don't know if you've read, Carl Jung said,
I'm sorry, but it drives me nuts when people do this. Although I understand that giving credit is important, ideas are for people. Now, before we get into what Carl Jung said, my pappy said, you cannot kiss a cow if you first kicked her in the teeth. Now, what did Mr. Jung say?
That the greatest danger that humanity faces is not from any external force like natural disasters or diseases or pandemics. He said the greatest danger that humanity faces is collective psychosis.
Collective psychosis is a psychiatric syndrome in which symptoms of a delusional belief, and sometimes hallucinations, are transmitted from one individual to another. Well, let me thank Mr. Jung. A delusional belief, sometimes hallucinations, transmitted from one to another. So, you mean something like how there are many people who have spiritual beliefs? It almost seems transmitted from one person to another by things like your books and talks. Sometimes hallucinations. Like claiming to be more aware than other people? Or maybe more conscious? A delusional belief. And this really is what you're talking about, sir. As well, unfortunately, where your hypocrisy lies. How should we define a delusional belief, Eckhart? This is a question for psychology as well as philosophy. Delusional beliefs, for your information, sir, are beliefs which are contradicted by reality or rational argument. It doesn't matter if we're talking about how many licks it will take to get bored and get a decent candy, nor the color of Houdini's underwear, nor the Loch Ness Monster. It doesn't matter if we're talking about horrible groups of the past, present, nor future. Eckhart, it doesn't matter if we're talking about spirituality. If you would prefer to not have delusional beliefs, then you must provide evidence in reality or a rational argument. Sorry, bud. That's just how it works.
To some extent, so that you no longer can see reality as it is. The famous example from 1984, Orwell, you have to believe that 2 + 2 = 5. And if you don't believe it, then you are the enemy.
That is also right, Eckhart. There is a huge problem with this idea. If you don't believe what I do, then you are my enemy. The problem, aside from ideologies, is that people act this way normally. As a general rule, all things being equal, try disagreeing with someone and watch their reaction. It is normally one of defensiveness. In actuality, it should be one of welcome openness. We can't learn when we are busy teaching. We can't know if we are wrong until we hear better ideas. So, do you want to listen to these new ideas and potentially learn? Also, if the new ideas are terrible, perhaps you could point out why. So we all leave those bad ideas. You might even be able to show a better idea yourself. Getting defensive is not the easiest path towards learning.
Immunity, I think I would use immunity. The key is what we could call awareness, or I sometimes call it presence, awareness. It says awareness or presence.
Gotcha. All you people out there, if you know that you are where you are immune from this mind virus.
Complicated.
Close call.
It's the ability to become aware of your thoughts.
Okay, got it. Awareness is the ability to be aware. I'm not sure why you would minimize it to thoughts alone, but I'm with you.
So you can take a step back and observe what thoughts are going through your head.
Okay. Awareness is the ability to observe which thoughts you are thinking. Right. Got it. I know what thought I'm thinking. I don't feel it is appropriate to share it with you, but I have definitely obtained awareness.
For example, when this ability arises, I call that the beginning of a spiritual awakening. Because
Damn it. I'm now part of an ideology, you tricky little... This is not part of a spiritual awakening, Eckhart. This is called being conscious. You've just described the entire animal planet as far as I know. Oh. Tricky. You're saying that because we're all conscious, we're all spiritual beings, because we all have thoughts we can think about. You surely are a teacher of some merit. Oh, wait a minute. Eckhart, you've just defined spirituality into existence. This is primary school stuff. I got a new girlfriend. Let me see a picture. Dude, that's your hand. Yeah, but... I call her my girlfriend.
Spiritual is no longer being completely trapped and identified with the movement of thinking.
Which person is completely trapped with thinking? All of us have a concept which English labels as relax. Many people watch TV. Many people engage in sports, outdoor activities, puzzles, games, masturbation, and sex. Most people I've met sleep. What you're still doing is finding something we all have in common and giving it a new name. I can call my hand my girlfriend. I may even be able to convince some others to do the same, but Eckhart, what's a hand? It is nor arm nor foot, nor butt nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other noun. What's in a name? That which we call consciousness by any other name would act identically. So my hand would, were it not hand called. Retain that dear perfection which it is owed without a real girlfriend. Hand doff thy name, and for that name which is no part of thee, take thee thy new title of spender of all my money. Taking a phenomenon like consciousness and relabeling it as spirituality is a very dishonest, one might even say virally infected, way of trying to show it exists. Consciousness exists. Move on.
Infection, viral infection on a mental level has always been there, but it's now become magnified by the technology that we now have.
No, wrong again. If I'm being overly generous here, you're using mental virus as a dumb metaphor for coming to false beliefs. I've already told you why people come to false beliefs. Check any damn video I make. But surely we all have one of those friends. I've already told you how to come to more reliably true beliefs. Technology doesn't make us lose our innate abilities, not without many generations. Actually, it's quite the opposite. Having worldwide instant access has allowed thousands of social media users to completely confuse fallacies. But at least they know the word. Others will correct them over time, and hopefully we will move forward, but sorry. What was it that you were saying about the negative side of technology, Mr. Flintstone?
A toxic idea, a toxic thought can spread like wildfire through the internet.
Yes, ideas and thoughts can spread almost instantly around the entire world. But why are you focusing on the bad ideas? Good ideas can also spread equally fast. Ideas about bad arguments, poor epistemology, and communication tactics. Just for example. Which will win? The good or the bad ideas? Who the hell knows? I do know one thing, though, that bad ideas are beaten only by better ones. So the best way to fight bad ideas is simply to hear them, and then offer better ones.
And once a thought has become lodged, then it will attract associated thoughts that resonate with it.
Yes, thoughts, beliefs have consequences. Someone who believes in Bigfoot might not want to go camping. Someone who's politically right might not agree with abortion. Someone who thinks magical things may go on to sell millions of books and delude others. Cause and effect.
And then suddenly you see reality through the veil of that irrational thinking, but you don't know that this is happening because you do not have the immunity of awareness.
Nice, Eckhart. A very good description of what people call subjectivity. The part you're missing is that everyone has a subjective take on reality, which is fine. Believe whatever you like. The issue is this is a society. A society is where people come together to live and hopefully thrive. If you want to come to agreements about your societal rules, your personal beliefs, without the support of evidence and or rational arguments are, well, we have a word for that too, Eckhart. Delusional.
I think it was Aristotle who said,
my pappy used to say that if you want to get ahead in life, you can't be sucking the hind teat. Sorry. Please go on. Aristotle, you say.
Talked about the ability of having two conflicting thoughts in your mind without necessarily identifying with either.
Actually, Aristotle said it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. If you want to know what he meant, it isn't really that difficult. It is the subject of, surprise, philosophy. You know all those funny questions philosophers like to ask? Do you know why they ask them? They're trying to investigate them, trying to think in different ways and see different perspectives, trying to falsify themselves or each other in a quest to understand the world and ourselves better. Should Biden be elected again? Well, let's weigh the pros and cons. Should Trump be? Pros and cons. But that isn't how far too many people think. God damn it, Eckhart. You did it to me again. You're now calling spirituality or awareness philosophy. I can call a cat a chimera, but that does not make chimeras real.
Whatever the term is, what are the favorite terms these days? Disinformation or whatever.
Wow. Don't really think disinformation is a laughable topic, but while we're on it, some fact checkers are claiming that a claim is false if it has no evidence. Let me help you here, Eckhart. Just because a claim has no evidence does not mean it is false. Disinformation should be very simple to understand. It is information that is given which is false or misleading. Saying Bigfoot might be real is not disinformation. Saying Bigfoot is real is disinformation. Sorry, tangents. What were you saying about spiritualism again, Eckhart?
So what's the best way to immunize yourself against that?
Learn philosophy. The best way to attempt to prevent yourself from believing false claims is to learn how we show claims to be false. What is the best way to protect yourself while driving? Learn how to drive safely. The best way to make friends? Learn how to be more social. This is easy stuff, Dave, but surely Eckhart here will stammer and stutter for the next 5 minutes while misusing words and concepts. On with it, I suppose.
At some level.
Yes, to become aware of one's thinking.
Becoming aware of my thinking does not protect me from a damn thing if my thinking is wrong. How is this so difficult to understand, Eckhart? Let's say I believe the earth is flat. I think I have good reasons for my belief. Now, you want me to be aware of my thoughts. I am aware of my thoughts. I'm aware I think the earth is flat. I'm aware I think I have good reasons. I'm aware of those reasons. I think all globe earthers have bad reasons, and I'm aware of that thought. It is not me being aware of my thoughts which keeps me a flat earther. It is my lack of understanding that my thoughts are unreasonable or irrational.
Whose thinking becomes so negative about in other words, the stories they tell themselves. Let's talk about narratives that people have in their heads, in their minds. My life is so dreadful, and all I've been treated so unfairly by society and life, and I've had everything bad always happens to me.
Yes, people have negative thoughts. Yes, these are sometimes quite bad and serious. We have conditions in psychology that address these concerns, but there are other types of negative thoughts. These other types are the ones that help ourselves, our friends, and the world. Louis Pasteur, for example, didn't help come up with an anthrax vaccine because the world was perfect. He rather found a problem and tried to fix it. Just as he did, so are you doing here, as am I trying.
So people who go into a lot of suffering, at some point, they sometimes realize that the suffering they experience is actually produced by their own minds.
Yes, suffering is produced by one's own mind. That neither lessens it nor means it is not real. We can imagine someone working 12-hour days and hating it. We can imagine someone else working 13-hour days and being very thankful for the ability to earn money to feed their family. Yes, people cause themselves more trouble than they can handle. But now we're back to psychological disorders. There are ways to be happy all the time, if that is your goal.
Wow, isn't that amazing? And I have these thoughts that come back again, they recur again and again, thoughts about myself, things I tell myself about myself. And so these thoughts are creating so much suffering.
You seem to be saying that negative thoughts are harmful. I'm saying I agree with you that they can be. Are you unable to see that negative thoughts about oneself can also be helpful? Maybe I shouldn't have fed that ostrich a Coke can. Maybe I should have asked my friend how their day was. Negative thoughts, exactly like positive thoughts, can both be harmful as well as helpful.
Why am I always criticizing people? Why am I always complaining about everything?
Well, I can't speak for everyone, Eckhart, and although I don't always complain nor criticize, I certainly do it, just like you are complaining about and criticizing people who have negative thoughts. Sounds negative. I criticize people and ideas which I think are harmful. This is why you are here, sir. I find your ideology, lack of philosophy, laissez-faire attitude towards words, and complete lack of understanding of how to come to rational beliefs, well, harmful. You seem to me like someone spreading a virus in the way you use the word. Perhaps like Pasteur, I feel you should be stopped before you do more harm. I have no power to stop you, so instead I point out your missteps in order for others to also potentially see how ridiculous you sound.
Complaining, and I'm not talking about complaining when you have the ability to change a situation. Then sometimes it's good to speak out when there's possibility of change. But in many cases, people just complain because it makes the ego feel bigger, because the more I complain about others, the bigger my ego feels, because I'm right and they are all wrong.
I don't often hear people complaining about problems they have, which they can solve. If I can solve a problem, I solve it. I don't sit around and complain about it. I think many people are similar. Secondly, when there is a problem, like, say, cancer, that I cannot solve, I donate money or time to try to solve it. In a very real way, this is me complaining about cancer. When you attempt to speak in metaphor, Eckhart, you miss the most obvious details. In regards to ego, no. I don't care if you think I'm right or not. I want you to make an argument to show me that what you say is correct. If I cared about ego, I wouldn't wear a mask.
There's usually there's a background field of a peaceful coming together. There's a background field of, there's a certain connectedness, even if what your opinion and the person you're interviewing maybe have very different viewpoints, very different thoughts. Nevertheless, you're not so identified with a viewpoint, the mental position, that anybody who questions your viewpoint is unconsciously regarded as an enemy that needs to be defeated.
Back to agreement. You hit on a large problem in society. People don't know how to discuss topics. They personally identify, or something, with their beliefs, treating their beliefs like parts of their person. Beliefs are much more like clothing. We can change them, repair them, and toss them when they are useless. Instead, People get defensive and indeed sometimes offensive when their beliefs are called into question. You probably shouldn't get too upset when your t-shirt gets a hole. You should probably get a new t-shirt.
Ben Shapiro. And there was a lot of disagreement, but there was a mutual
They come
respect.
from completely different positions. Russell Brand is on the left, obviously. Ben Shapiro is on the right. And then they reversed it later. Ben Shapiro had him on his show. And it was really very pleasant to watch. They were both able to express clearly their viewpoints and their mental positions.
I like the idea that people give others the opportunity to express their beliefs. This is very important. However, in the end, I don't really care what each person's individual beliefs are. I care about what is correct or true. So, who is right about topic X? If, in the end, we cannot see who has a more rational position, then wasn't the conversation a waste of time? I think the moon is made of cheese. Fascinating. I think it's made of butter. Really? I think dragons are real. Interesting. I think they are aliens. Riveting stuff here. The purpose of a conversation is to relay information. The purpose of disagreement is coming closer to truth. The purpose of two people spouting their beliefs, well, I guess I just don't know what the purpose of that is.
Without attacking each other at all. So there was an undercurrent of awareness, as I would call it, which is a dimension of consciousness that is extremely important for humans.
Oh, you mean rational dialogue. You can call it a cow if you want to advertise for your farm, but in the end, you're simply talking about open, honest dialogue. Yes, by the way, it is very important.
Who you are is the aware presence in the background. That frees you from being possessed by thoughts, by narratives, by mental positions. And so that takes the ego out of the interaction. And then you can have a fruitful interaction.
You want to know what really takes the ego completely out of the interaction? Trying to be wrong instead of trying to be right. When I'm trying to be right, I will use every chance I get to show you why I am right. If, on the other hand, I'm trying to be wrong, then I want to listen to exactly what you're saying and see if it makes sense. This is how we learn, and how we move on from false beliefs. Take you, for example. I had to sit through your mess a bunch of times while making this video. I'm trying my best to understand what you are saying. I would like you to make a rational point which would show me that you are correct in any way. I have found and mentioned some, but honestly, your abuse of words makes it difficult to charitably listen to you.
I would say I'm more of a believer now than I've ever been in my adult life. And I think that is connected to my ability to sort of stay sane within a very polarized political time and as someone that puts their opinions out there.
Perhaps, Dave. I don't know your personal story, nor you at all. However, I would point out that false beliefs can also make people, as you say, stay sane. Someone who believes in Thor may say the same thing, but a belief causing you a comfortable life does not make that belief true. Having said that, believe whatever you like.
And I wonder what you think about that, just sort of what the state of belief is at the moment.
Thanks. Can't let that one pass. The state of belief at the moment. Horrendous. People believe in outrageous things for outrageous reasons. I personally feel all media, you, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, GQ, TYT, all other acronyms and abbreviations and not, are actively adding to this problem. We could chat about it, but I'm no one. Just here trying to open some eyes here and there. Stay tuned, though. I'm sure you'll show up again sometime.
That your life has a purpose is good, that there is a greater purpose to life than just your personal life, and somehow your personal life needs to be in alignment with a greater purpose that pervades the universe.
I'm sorry. My personal life needs to be in alignment with a greater purpose that pervades the universe? I believe that cold beer is better than warm beer. I believe that screamers are better than moaners. I don't believe in a single greater purpose that pervades the universe, so what? My personal life is not in alignment with a greater purpose which pervades the universe. So, you're saying I don't exist? Or that my beliefs are untrue? Or unimportant? Let me try to give you some of your own medicine. Perhaps that will show you your flaw. Your personal life, Eckhart, needs to be in alignment with a greater sense of the well-being of tardigrades. You're making claims, buddy, not arguments.
There is an intelligence that is transcendent to sense-perceived reality, that is beyond that.
Prove it, you charlatan. You make all the same claims as a Buddhist, Muslim, Christian, voodoo practitioner, astrologer, all the same woo. Putting words in an order and spewing them out your mouth does not make you correct. Showing evidence for your beliefs is what should convince others. Perhaps this is why you were laughing when misinformation came up.
An intelligence that manifests itself in this world, but is also beyond this world.
Got evidence? No, then I'm almost done with you. There is no intelligence that is a part of and beyond this world. Now, we have both made a claim. I don't actually believe mine. I rather say I do not know. However, who's correct, Eckie? Me or you? This is a waste of time if neither of us have any proof to show. Sure, you can continue to believe your claim as I can mine. What we have just done, however, is move away from each other. I would prefer to move closer. When you have evidence of your claim, please do bring it forward. Until then, however, you're literally spreading the mental virus you were talking about earlier. Shame.
Now, whether we call that vast, inconceivable intelligence God or the divine or
non-existent until you show some evidence.
Or no name at all, doesn't really matter. So it's good to believe that that is there.
No, Eckhart, it really matters. Let me tell you about the intelligence that I think pervades the universe. I call it Bob. I think that Bob wants me to hurt children, women, and look down on minorities and homosexuals. Bob wrote it in his book. It doesn't really matter? It matters very much, as we're all stuck here on this ball together. Spreading your BS is not fundamentally different than flat earthers doing the same. It hurts people.
An experience, to experience that which lies beyond the world of form, which is physical forms and even mental forms.
Pretty sure you meant reality.
And that which lies beyond the world of form is this transcendent dimension that humans can sense within themselves.
So you keep saying, but having offered zero evidence, having relabeled philosophy, epistemology, consciousness, subjectivity, and even awareness, I don't see how listening to you at greater length is worthy of anyone's time. Good luck with your snake oil sales. This is a great example of the problems we see all around us every day. I have an idea. I have no support for my idea. But if we change what words mean and use metaphors, you can almost see that I have a point. This is you attempting to deceive others, and perhaps yourself, in the exact same way all popular woo does. In the exact same way religions and conspiracy theorists do it, you're using the same techniques that charlatans have very commonly used for centuries. Congratulations on your book sales. I hope you made a lot of money. If I had some control, one of the things I would do is make you donate that cash to educate children in philosophy. I figure if you're going to make a buck by leading them away from rationality, then the least you can do is pay for some kids to approach it again.